This is probably one of the most important videos you're going to see. About 2 months ago, I spoke about GLXY Digital right here. It was about $30 and it actually dipped right after about 20, went as low as $23. I continue to buy, and a lot of people hit me up. Some people, friends of mine, I was like, no, just continue to buy. Nothing has changed. Now, GLXY Digital is at $42. Those people that doubled down did very well, okay? Continue to buy like myself and others. And how did I know this is going to happen? This is why I want to lay this out. You have to also, I would like you guys to start judging the influencers you listen to, whether they're on YouTube or on X, by their history. And I think my history is starting to show that these patterns of stuff like B. Riley, stuff like GLXY Digital, they're coming through. And the reason they're coming through, I lay out a theory, a thesis for all of these, a clear thesis why I think, and I compare them to other stuff in the markets. These are undervalued assets and why they're going to go up. And these theories are coming to fruition because everything on the macro and micro side are lining up, whether it's the M2 interest rates or the crypto and crypto regulations. I'm going to show you why GLXY Digital also went up. I spoke about this a few months ago. A couple people keep hitting me up. Hey, can you talk about it again? You know, you helped us understand it really well, and a couple people got in. So this is the thing. GLXY Digital is at $16 billion market cap. When I spoke about it, I showed you guys it was about $10 billion. That means the people that got in, even when I spoke about it, are up like 40, 50%. Okay, they've done really, really well, even if they paid $30 for it, even though right after it did dip down to about as low as I think $22 or $23, which is crazy, by the way, crazy undervalued. That means this thing was worth like $8 billion or $7 billion. This thing is doing $9 billion a year in income already. I mean, it's bigger, more income than Coinbase and Robinhood. And it was that low. I mean, it just shows you that people don't know the brand. They don't know what it is. But I'm going to show you what has lit it up. And it's also what's lighting up Robinhood, so you can see the trend. See, you got to see the trends. If you start seeing the trends, you can find other investments to get into. And I'm all about finding the trends. So I'm going to show you something very important. I said, is this a better investment or is Coinbase at the point? At that point, Coinbase was about 480, 490. It hasn't moved. Coinbase hasn't moved. That means if you had invested in GLXY Digital, you would have made 40 to 50%. And Coinbase, you would have made in the 2 months since I made my video, zero. So far, it's been the better investment because also it's a lot smaller market cap. Coinbase is $100 billion, okay? And I'm going to show you something else. Robinhood, right? Robinhood has actually done relatively well, even though it's $135 billion. And this is actually a hell of a chart on Robinhood. It just keeps climbing because now it's going into real world assets. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to find other projects to get investments into their real world assets. GLXY Digital is potentially one of them, but I have some private stuff. I've been hit up by a couple different companies, and this is one project. I might actually join the team, and you guys should follow them. They're not pre-sale or anything now. Okay, it's called, you got to check them out. It's called Segue with S3 and then Segue instead of the E. On Twitter, I'll put the information right down here. This is an incredible project. Scale your brand with zero cost fundraising and tokenization. They're basically taking real world assets like real estate and real businesses, and they're bringing them onto the blockchain. And they have legal, they got all this stuff. I mean, this site is sick. It is one of the best websites I've seen. I'm talking to the team. I might actually join this team and be a part of it because these are the kind of opportunities I'm looking for. And I believe they're going to be doing like a raise for their token, the Segue token, which is crazy. Once I break down the tokenomics to you guys, you basically need the Segue token to buy into any of the real world assets, which puts pressure on the Segue token, makes it deflationary and increases the price. It's absolutely the craziest, wildest tokenomics I've ever seen. And this is all basically going to be going, they're going to be filing, and they have lawyers, SEC and all that stuff going on. So it's actually nuts. Not necessarily the Segue token, but the companies that are going to be listed here, whether it's real estate or real world assets. So just go check it out. I'll put the links here for you guys. I'll put the Discord and the Twitter. But these are the kind of things that I invest in crypto. This is why I understand these things at such a high level, and I'm able to bring you something 2 months ago that's up 40, 50%. That's stable, and it continues to go up because I understand how crypto works. I understand how the markets work, and I'm also seeing the trend. The trend is what's pushing things higher, and where the money is going is toward real world assets, and also getting in. If you look at what Galaxy Digital is doing. So let's just actually talk about what made them go up, okay? Galaxy Digital launches financial platform for retail investors, but I want you to look at something very closely. It was already moving up, okay? Even before it had announced, it had slowly started moving up. It had started moving up. That was just an extra catalyst, okay? Because people were starting to realize that Galaxy Digital, what are they behind? First, they're investing in a lot of like Tom Lee stuff, like BMNR. They're pipe investors behind all these reserve crypto projects, okay? Strategic reserve currency reserves, right? Now, why does it benefit them? Well, they're the ones that get to hold on to all these assets. So imagine billions and billions of dollars worth of these reserve tokens, in Galaxy Digital vaults. Imagine all of this money just being held by them while they take a fee on all this stuff. It all becomes profit. Imagine if these strategic reserves become worth, let's say $50 billion during the next bull run. Imagine if the income these guys will make is astronomical, and it could get to those levels. These guys are the ones that the institutions are going to. SBET is holding all their money with them, all this money, and they are also investors in all of these pipes. They're investors in them all. So they're basically, we don't know how much profit they've even made off of that. Now they're going after the retail side of things, which is actually very interesting. You're like, well, they're not going to be able to compete with Robinhood, but what they're doing is very different, okay? Accredited investors can access 8% annual, this is nuts, percentage yield through Galaxy Premium Yield. Okay, all other investors are 4% on cash deposits. Do you understand what 8% is? 8% is basically what the S&P does, okay? They're giving you an 8% and you require $25,000 minimum with a cap of $1 million investment with an initial $250 million total cap investment. Do you understand how insane this is? Why are they doing this? Well, because these guys are institutional money. They always have been institutional. If you go to their website, you will see trading firm. This is what they are. They're a trading firm. They do all this already. They trade, they lend, they do derivatives, they do staking, custodial. They do this already. They're way ahead of the game. Robinhood and Coinbase are kind of retail first, secondary institutional. These guys are institutional first, secondary retail. So guess who they're going to go after? They know the big money, the whale money, the guys that sell billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin do it with, guess who? Galaxy Digital. That's where they hit them up. Hey, can you help me sell? Like that guy who sold 9 billion did it through these guys, and they take a cut. So they know that's where the money is. They have the big money guys. Hedge funds, they do the asset management. Okay, institutional investors. Now they finally got through Galaxy app retail. They didn't have this. And they even got more. They even got more, and they even got the miners. They got everything. These guys are full investment grade, institutional. They're up there. Okay. Galaxy One is their new platform, and you can go right on there and you can see what they got going on. 4% and the 8% yield. Okay, 8% is insane. It is insane. And this to me is a little bit scary because, you're like, well, they're not going to be able to compete with Coinbase and with Robinhood. I would say not right now because it's going to take a minute, but the word is getting out. They don't need a lot of people to come in and put $1 million up to $250 million in there to get this 8% and for the word to get out. They don't need a lot of people to do this. And you can take this yield and they can take this yield. Imagine you put $1 million in there. You get $80,000 a year. You can take that $80,000 a year and buy Ethereum with it or Bitcoin with it. That's how crazy this shit is. It's absolutely insane. Okay. This is the kind of innovation that could become viral. This is what I look for. So Galaxy One, Galaxy Digital, I think the future is bright. Yes, the stock price is going to be volatile, and I definitely think it's going to be going up or down. If you haven't got in, I definitely think there's going to be an opportunity. I think it will dip. I don't think it's going to be a straight shot up. Yes, it has basically been on a run the last couple of days, but I would wait. It just hit this new kind of high right here. It is a new high for it. I would wait for a dip below 40. But these are the kind of companies, when you start comparing them to Coinbase, you start comparing them to Robinhood, you start looking at $135 billion Robinhood, $100 billion Coinbase, and you say, what does Galaxy Digital have or not have, in this case, not have that Coinbase and Robinhood have? Well, the differences are retail. Well, they just added the retail. Can their retail be as competitive? Can their retail drive billions of dollars in transactions? Can it get there? Well, they're doing it differently. What they're doing is they're not going after your mom and pop retailer, some 18-year-old kid with $1,000. They're going after the guy that has $10 million in crypto, $20 million in crypto, and they're calling them up right now. I already know. They're calling all those guys up. Come on over. We're ready for you. Okay, because that's what's going to drive them, and that's what's going to drive their revenues, and it's going to be a difference maker in all of this. The platform's not going to be ready yet, but I'll tell you something. All of the stuff I talk about, all the stocks, whether it's SBET, BMNR, Galaxy Digital, or B. Riley, I stick with a theory, I stick with a thesis, I lay it out, and I ride with it over many, many months. I don't believe Galaxy Digital is going to get to a 5x or 4x right away. I think it's going to take 6 months, 7 months. It could take a year. So what I do is I ride with these particular companies. I watch them, not too carefully, because I trust these guys. Not too carefully. I trust them. I let them do their thing. I give them their space. I'm not up in their butts. You know, like some of you guys are panicking when you got a 2% drop. That's not me. Okay, this is the channel. This is a big time trade channel. This is not the channel for, start crying when you lose 5% or 10%. That's like a normal day in crypto. All right, that's like nothing. That's like a normal day. People text me and I'm like, why are you texting me? I have friends that text me. I'm like, so the market fell 5. I had one guy text me today. He's like, oh, is everything okay with the crypto markets? Yeah, what happened? This was nothing. 4%, it's nothing. Nothing happened. Literally, nothing happened. Don't talk to me about 4%. 20% hit me up. We'll talk about it. But basically, these are the type of companies you want to buy. These are the type of companies you want to hold. These are the type of companies that are going to make the money over the long period of time. And I believe Galaxy Digital, we haven't seen some of the playbook from them yet. They keep investing in all these different strategic reserve companies. I'd like to see their gains from these. I think it's going to be huge. And who knows what the next one they invest in? Who knows where all of these strategic reserves, how much they add up? We don't know the numbers. I think the numbers, once the real bull run gets going and ETH passes 5,000 or 6,000 and all the alts start moving and all the strategic companies start flooding the market like they already kind of are, but even more so, I think Galaxy Digital is going to be the biggest winner in all of this. And it's not going to be close because all the institutional money, I'd say probably half of it is going to flow their way because it already is. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm just happy a couple of you guys got into it from the video I'd made 2 months ago. I'm going to keep you guys with a SBET and BMNR video hopefully next week. I think there's some big things brewing behind the scenes. Also, I think there is some other plays coming up. I'm watching some other stuff, but I'm not really seeing something. I'm like, this is really gonna do like a nice 5 or 10x. So that's what I'm looking for. So I'm very concentrated in a couple stocks that I think are gonna do really, really well. And that's, you guys see which ones they are. And I think these are the ones that are gonna do the best. And I'm just kind of chilling. So I make my theories, I chill. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to day trade. I just gotta chill and wait for my gains because they will come. And as you can see, it is happening. Anyway, guys, best of luck out there. We'll talk to you soon.